Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jimmy. His name is Frank. And I love talking to this guy. I don't know, Frank, are you sick of my voice yet?
Not yet.
I hope you never reach that point, Frank, because let me tell you, I enjoy this shit. I really do. I enjoy these shows, It's a hell of a way to get my frustrations out about the business, and you want to know what? It's a healthy way, too.
Yes.
But, ladies and gentlemen, we're also going to get into, we figured, since we're here, Frank and I think we might as well go over what we think's going to happen at Payback. What do you think, Frank? You think we can handle it?
I think so.
All right. Let's see. We got the Ascension going up against, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm not kidding, the new Mega Powers, which is Curtis Axel, Axelmania, again, and Damian Sandow, or as he is being referred to now as Macho Mandow, in a tag team match, and that's on the pre-show. I'll be honest, Frank, I like the Ascension. I think that they are so much better than their push indicates on Raw, because when you had them on NXT and you had the right guy booking them, they were unstoppable. They were a great tag team. Damian Sandow, I expected better than him doing impressions. I would have loved to have seen him become a serious character and try to rise up, but it's not going to happen. They've pigeonholed him into this role of being a comedic character, and I'm sorry, but Curtis Axel was dead in the water the second you referenced his family, because there's no way he could ever be Mr. Perfect. He can't even be Larry the Axe.
Right. Well, I'm not that big of a fan of the Ascension. From the second I saw them, I thought they were garbage. I do. I tell you all the time. The first time I see somebody, I say, "Wow, they're going to be a star." Or in their case, I just thought they were just garbage. No, they did nothing to impress me. They all looked impressive. And as far as David Sandow and Curtis Axel, I guess for their sake, they're just lucky they're on TV and have something to do.
No, that's a shame. Standards have really.
It's comedy. It's a comedy relief.
But there's so much comedy on that show. You can't have 4 or 5 out of 10 segments be all comedy. But again, you look at the company that's.
These guys are down to doing impersonations of
past names. That's a shame.
The guy who did the best Macho Man impersonation was Jay Lethal from TNA.
Absolutely.
Black Machismo.
Ooh, yeah! Dig it! And for the record, Macho Man's the one that got me into wrestling. Who got you into wrestling, Frank?
Oh, I told you, one of the first matches I saw was the Iron Sheik tapping out Bob Backlund, and then Hulk Hogan, in the following week.
So it was Hulkamania that got you into wrestling?
Yeah, because then Hulk Hogan would come out to save Bob Backlund and whoever else.
Well, I'll tell you something. I miss those glory days. I'll tell you, because let me tell you something. When you had guys like the Macho Man who could wrestle and talk, you had guys like Jake the Snake who could cut promos like nobody's business. You had tag teams like the Hart Foundation and the Rockers that could just put on great matches.
And you see, when I say the first time I see somebody, the first time I saw Macho Man, it was on a WWE commercial. Whatever company he was wrestling for, he gave somebody a power driver to a table. This is 1984, and I was like, "Wow, who is that?"
Oh, he was wrestling. He was wrestling in Memphis at that point.
Yeah, he gave somebody a power driver on a table.
It was probably Jerry Lawler.
Yeah,
because it was in Memphis.
Who the hell gave power drivers to the table? And I said, "Wow, whoever that guy is, that guy looks great." And sure enough, when he came on the scene, I was like,
"That's Macho for you." I wish that he could have been alive for his induction ceremony. But getting back to the card, we got Dolph Ziggler versus Sheamus, where they're just continuing this feud, and I just don't know what the end game is here.
The end game is Sheamus is going to beat him. He's going to do something wacky to beat him. And I think now that D-Bry is no longer around, I think probably they're going to either put the strap on Sheamus or probably maybe Dean Ambrose. I don't know.
I don't think Dean Ambrose.
I think Sheamus is going to wind up with the Continental strap.
No, I guess. I mean, I remember the discussion about these mid-card titles being elevated, and I'll be honest, Frank. You really don't need these titles to be on major names to elevate them. You elevate them through good booking, right or wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So having great matches.
Have great matches. Have great matches. Don't have the champions lose on free television. Have them look dominant. Have it look like when they lose a match, it means something. I mean, I remember Wade Barrett as Intercontinental Champion losing to more than half the challengers in the ladder match. Why the hell would I?
Is the Intercontinental book going to be good on Sheamus or Ziggler at this point? I mean,
Ziggler shouldn't be anywhere near the Intercontinental title. Ziggler is so much more over than his push indicates. I don't care what anyone says on the page. Dolph Ziggler's another guy who the fans have no reason to be behind him for the way he's been booked in the last few years. But the guy still gets over every time he goes out there. And I love it when Ziggler comes out and he looks at the crowd and says, "Don't worry, I hear you." That's a shot at creative for not giving him his booking. But yeah, my pick to win this match, and I never said it, but I'm picking the new Mega Powers to win. The Ascension's dead in the water. The creative fucked them the second they got there. I think that I know Sheamus is winning this match. I don't see any shot for Ziggler to win. You know, the end game with WWE with him is always to beat him down because he's one of the few that actually had the balls to tell them what he thinks, which, you know, I never thought that in a free country we would see people get punished for exercising free speech.
Yeah, did you see that cryptic tweet he gave out a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
That just sounded like he was talking to WWE.
It's a shame if they lose Dolph Ziggler, that's an indictment on them.
So that means his contract is up in 5 months. So that's October.
Because I love Dolph Ziggler. I love watching that guy wrestle. He's fucking great. Next, we got King Barrett versus Adrian Neville. I do not see Wade Barrett losing after just winning the King of the Ring.
No, I agree with you. I think Barrett should be booked to win for a long time now.
And I agree with you since he won King of the Ring. But is Neville the guy you want to feed to him?
They could do it. They could run the same formula. Have Barrett just cheat and win at the end. You know, at this point, as long as Neville puts on a good match, a very good match, he wins. He doesn't have to win the match. He could just have a great match and good performance.
Well, I just don't want to see Adrian Neville get lost in the shuffle after losing too many matches. Next, we got the New Day, which is Big E Langston and Kofi Kingston with Xavier Woods against Tyson Kidd and Cesaro in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. I expect this match to steal the show. What about you?
I think it'll be entertaining. I think it'll be 1-1, and I think the New Day will cheat and win and take it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If they have anything similar to the match they had at last month's pay-per-view, they're going to be a tough act to follow because last month they did well at Extreme Rules, Frank. They did really well.
Yeah, thanks to Cesaro. Cesaro's carrying those matches.
Don't wait, Frank, don't talk.
Who did he do that to? Was it Kofi? Or Kofi, he kept flipping him into the turnbuckle, giving him the uppercut.
Yes.
He did it like 10 times, and the crowd counted every time.
Yeah, but you have to remember something, Frank. Cesaro's not over.
He's an internet darling.
Yeah, you can't like Cesaro because the internet crowd likes him because he wrestled somewhere other than WWE. Apparently, you're not allowed to like those guys.
Is the swing to the drop kick.
No, please. I love that tag team move, and I love seeing tag team synchronization.
Yeah, that's what tag teams are all about.
Yeah, don't. Next, we got John Cena versus the Buried Russian. Rusev. In an I Quit match. I mean,
this is the official funeral for Rusev.
Frank, can I go off, please? Can I just, okay. I feel like we're in the same situation we were in last year. Where John Cena is fighting another guy at Payback who has a promising... Actually, this is the 3rd year in a row. Where John Cena is fighting a promising individual who needs to go over, but he will. Can somebody explain that to me?
Well,
2013, he beats Ryback. 2014, he buries Bray Wyatt, literally and figuratively. And now this is going to be 3 matches in a row that he beats Rusev. I mean, why do you build these kids up just for the older guys to knock them down?
No,
and
the older guys, Cena.
to me,
I said it in 2012. They're building Ryback up so John Cena could take him out. And I said it last year with Rusev. Not only me. I mean, a lot of people who know wrestling, they say the same thing. It's so transparent.
I just want to understand what it is that he gains by beating a rookie.
Well, Rusev's not a rookie,
But what does John Cena gain by beating a young guy who still needs to ascend? I mean, this is like, for example, and I'm not comparing the two, so don't jump down my throat. Remember Survivor Series 1991, Frank?
Okay, first time ever.
Okay. The main attraction that night was something called the Gravest Challenge. It was Hulk Hogan defending the WWF Championship. For the first time ever at a Survivor Series, there was a one-on-one match.
Undertaker.
And Hulkamania died that night when The Undertaker pinned Hulk Hogan.
Hulkamania's man.
And then the next week, did Hulk Hogan beat The Undertaker? Yes, he did. Did he beat him clean? No. Do you understand why Hulk Hogan didn't beat The Undertaker clean? Because The Undertaker was an up-and-coming star that they knew was going to be something, so they wanted to protect him.
You gotta make him look strong.
In a way, yes. Because why would you want to kill a guy's career that it could be promising?
No, yeah, I'm not kidding around. You gotta
No. I'm going along with it. It's just, if they did that with Ryback, they did it with Bray Wyatt, and now it's going to happen to Rusev. And I don't want to hear from anyone, oh, Rusev's been elevated by working with John Cena. Just...
The icing on the cake is when Lana says, I quit for Rusev, and she turns face. And they take Lana away from him.
I mean,
she knows what's going to happen.
I mean, if Cena shot this guy's career in the chest, could he have killed it any deader?
No, I'm saying that's what's going to happen. So I see that's how they're going to separate.
It's an I Quit match featuring a guy that doesn't give up. That's his slogan. So I don't even need to say. I'll make sure I send my roses to Bulgaria so that way Rusev can be buried nicely. I'm so sick and tired of John Cena, Frank. He could be in the world title picture. He could be in the middle of the card. He could be in the opening match. I'm past the point. I'm just sick of seeing him.
But I think that's the way they're going to do it. I think Rusev's not going to quit, and Lana is going to...
And the funny thing is, Frank...
She's going to say, I quit for
the funny thing is, Frank, we're damned if we do and damned if we don't. We're damned if he wins because it's another young, promising career that's hit the Cena ceiling, but we're damned if he loses because then he goes back to the world title picture to fuck that up.
Right.
So there's no way to win with this guy. And then the main event, we got Seth Rollins defending his WWE Championship in a fatal 4-way match against Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Randy Orton. And if the stipulation is that if Seth Rollins loses, Kane will be fired from being the director of operations.
That's just added intrigue to the match. I don't think Seth
Rollins is not losing that belt. He's in no danger of losing that belt until he looks Brock Lesnar in the eyes at SummerSlam.
Yeah, and I think everybody's right when they say the only reason why Dean Ambrose is in was because he's going to get pinned.
He's only in that match to take the pinfall.
Yeah, you can't have Roman Reigns get pinned.
No, it can't. You can't have Roman Reigns take a clean loss. You can't have Randy Orton take a clean loss. Jeez Christ, I mean...
He's been pinned already so many times in the last month.
I mean, I'm just so sick and tired of seeing guys that are over get put in situations where they look like losers. That is what I'm ultimately sick of in WWE, because you see, if you fix that problem, Frank, a lot of shit changes. If the guys that are over get the good pushes and the guys that aren't over get something different, doesn't that fix a lot of things?
Of course. But then, you'll see guys like, oh, it's not real, wins and losses don't count. But if they do, it's a perception of
it's just
somebody loses once in a while, that's okay, but when somebody loses over and over and over and over and
after they lose more times, you perceive them as a loser.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Perception's reality, especially in entertainment.
Somebody who doesn't lose, who never gets pinned.
No, God, don't get me fucking started on guys that don't get pinned. It's just my pick to win this match is Seth Rollins. He's who I'm picking.
But there's a rumor that Dean Ambrose is going to turn heel or the Shield's going to reunite. I don't think that's a bunch of crap. Why would the Shield reunite?
Okay, first of all, I'm going to shoot down that second rumor. The Shield is not reuniting because they want Roman Reigns to be an island unto himself. That's number one. Number two, if they are dumb enough to turn Dean Ambrose heel, then I may have to rebel and not watch for a little while, Frank, because he's the most over guy they have now that Bryan's gone.
Well, it doesn't make sense. Him and Seth Rollins are mortal enemies. Why would he? What's the point of that? I don't understand.
To feed him to Roman Reigns.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess maybe you're right, but I don't know.
I mean, why would logically, why would Dean Ambrose join forces with a guy or assist a guy who tried to put his head through cinder blocks and kill him? Why would Dean Ambrose side with somebody who stabbed him in the back? Why? What reasons? And you can make a case for Roman Reigns. He does have reasons. The fans turned on him.
Right.
So he could turn around and say, yeah, I'm not too happy associating with Seth Rollins because I think he's a slimy prick, but you idiots turned your back on me, so now I'm going to make your lives miserable. Dean Ambrose...
I haven't really watched in the last 2 weeks, but some people were saying that there's little hints that Dean Ambrose gave on Raw and SmackDown that he's going to turn. I don't know.
It would be so stupid if they actually did turn Dean Ambrose heel. Because with Bryan gone, he's your most over guy.
Right.
I mean, think about this, Frank. Look at the landscape of WWE right now. Your most over guy is out with an injury, possibly may have to retire. Your second most over guy loses a majority of his matches, which is Dean Ambrose. Your third most over guy is Dolph Ziggler, who's basically a job guy. And your fourth most over guy is Ryback, who never has any direction. So...
And your supposed face of the company gets booed out of every building.
Thank you. And I am so sick and tired of the fucking excuses. Oh, it's just a smart crowd. It's an internet crowd.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the whole thing, but last week when he got... last week or this week, I don't know.
It was last week where he got really bad booze. This week he came out...
You could see it on his face, man. It's awkward. It is awkward. You could see it on his face. Like, it looks like he's going to cry. Like, he's so mad, he looks like he's going to cry.
Frank, I mean, I am just so sick and tired of this fucking guy constantly insulting my intelligence, coming out like he's really excited to be there. Do you think for 2 seconds that he's excited to be in a building that he knows the crowd is against him? Do you really...
At this point, he cares. He's rich. He's got his money. He's had a long career. He's been over all his time. It's just like, he comes out at first, the first 2, 3, 4 minutes, you can see the hurt in his face, and then he composes himself. He's thinking of ways how to turn around, and then he starts pandering to the crowd, going for the cheap McFoley pop. Oh, we're here in Montreal. Oh, we're here in Washington. You guys are a rowdy crowd. I love your passion.
That's why Bruce Blitz calls him Sniff Dicks, because he's constantly pandering.
If somebody could see that how he kisses ass, it's so transparent how he panders to the crowd to try and turn them and manipulate them.
And it doesn't work.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
It just, it's just, I always say this. if this was during a time where there was a company out there that could put WWE on its ass, does he stay the same way he is?
Hell no. You wouldn't see 80% of the stuff you see now wouldn't be happening.
Now, why would it not be happening, Frank?
Because it's not good for business. It's not what the people want. It's not conducive to.
Then if you're a business that's all about making money, why would you make decisions that is not good for business?
Because WWE right now is on safe mode. They just want to be as safe as possible, not take any chances, not jump the gun. As far as he is concerned, their plan is to milk him until he gets the reactions, good or bad, steps dwindling, and then they'll do something with him. But until that's their mentality. See, like I said at the beginning, they hear everything. When Triple H told Leo Kruger, you see, they didn't chant Leo one time. He's listening to the crowd. They listen to the crowd.
Part of me thinks that WWE will get better once Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn are no longer in charge.
No, it's not about Vince McMahon. It's about they're corporate now. They're a publicly traded company, and they have no competition. So they just got, as long as they can maintain this where they are now, as long as they don't drop too much, they're fine with it. They're happy. They have the network. As long as their network subscriptions go up a few 10,000, 20,000 every month, they're happy. Their shows are still packed. As long as those arenas are still packed every time, they're not going to jump the gun. That's the truth of it.
Well, they'll only be able to maintain that for so long before the fans eventually get tired of it.
Yeah, I mean, every year the ratings slip little by little.
And then you hear people say that the television ratings don't matter anymore.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it goes from 3.5 to 3.3 to 3.1 to 2.9 to 2.7.
Eventually, the television networks are going to be like, okay, why are these ratings so bad?
Yeah, well, I mean, they have their contest already. They signed their contest, so they're safe. But,
No.
Maybe when the ratings take a dramatic dip, a significant dip, they'll do something.
No, it is what it is. So, by the way,
I haven't watched. I haven't watched Raw, maybe. I watched maybe one show in the last 4 weeks.
Last night, I only watched to see what Daniel Bryan had to say, and then after that, I turned off the television. Technically, Frank, I have no reason to tune in now. Because The Undertaker...
Most of it's painful to watch. It's predictable. There's no...
I have no one on the show right now that I am emotionally invested in.
The only exciting thing has been the debut of the next NXT guys. That's the only thing I could think of.
Honestly, I am trying my best to get deep into the character of Finn Balor so I could, get excited. But Frank, Undertaker's not around. Sting is not around. Macho Man's dead. Kurt Angle's in TNA, and Daniel Bryan may have to retire. Those are my top 5 favorites of all time, and not
I'm sure you'll find your favorite guys.
It just for me. But you want to know something else, Frank? And this is what I want to close with. The last 2 years of Daniel Bryan is showing me that no one should get emotionally invested in pro wrestling anymore, especially if it's the WWE. Because not only do you have to hope that your favorites get over, you got to hope that they're in the WWE's plan. Because no matter how over they get, Daniel Bryan's living proof. No matter how over you are, no matter how popular you are, no matter how much merchandise you sell, no matter how pop culture you become, if you're not in their plans, they don't give a fuck.
I think most of the hardcore fans like me and yourself and other people, I think the only reason why we even watch it is because, one is because we watched for so long and we're attached to it, and two is because we just have this hope that something's going to change and it's going to get better. I don't know.
And that's the whole reason that we do is hope. And you want to know what the terrible part is, Frank? We don't get rewarded for that hope. We don't get rewarded for that loyalty. And then you hear the people that say, "Oh, you're just a bunch of entitled fans that always want your way." When you're in the entertainment business, it's all about your audience, right or wrong, Frank?
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine like a popular show like Walking Dead or Game of Thrones, and every episode, it's nothing's really different than the last episode. There's no really pay day off, and you're just watching, and it's not even a cliffhanger. You're just hoping and hoping. You watch until maybe at the end of the season, the finale is going to be really good. So, I mean, do you think that shows like that would stay on the air with?
Absolutely not. And you want to know that
12 weeks just to see maybe the season finale is going to be
and to those out there and to those out there that say that WWE has a great number of viewers, fact of the matter is they get a sliver of the amount of viewers they used to get. Why is that, Frank?
Because it's just not that entertaining. I mean, in the height, the peak, when you had The Rock, Stone Cold, they were doing 4.5, 5s, 6s, 7s. And there was still football around. There was still other shows around. Now they're doing what, 3? Getting the 3.5 is a great week for them now.
It's terrible.
That was probably the last Nitro ever had a 3.5.
You're kidding.
Something like that. They had like a 3.2 rating. That somebody pointed that out. That Nitro's last rating was like over a 3, and that's like the average of Raw today.
That's what happens when you become family friendly after being, sex, drugs, and rock and roll for so long. You want to go.
I mean, you could argue that.
You want to go from.
Anymore, but come on.
Yeah, but you want to go from The Walking Dead to Mr. Rogers, and you expect people to not complain. That's just not how it works.
The highest rated ever segment on Raw was This Is Your Life with The Rock and McFoley. It did a 9.
Yes, it did, because you had two entertaining characters who were over, and they had more TV time than anybody else.
Just think about that. That's a 9. That's triple the ratings of a good Raw show today. A great Raw show. That's triple the ratings. That means you have fans out there who are willing to watch.
Frank, maybe you and I are just crazy, and we're just imagining all these things.
I mean, I'm not going to say that they're going to do a 9 every week, but if things were different, they could pull it for 4.5 every week, 5. But I don't know. What do I know?
I know. What do we know, Frank? We've just been watching for the past 20 years. We don't know anything. Because we never threw a football, we don't know if a good pass was made. We never played in Major League Baseball. We can't turn around and say that Pete Rose deserves to be in the Hall of Fame due to his numbers. Because we've never dribbled the basketball. We can't turn around and say, oh, Michael Jordan's the greatest that ever lived in the history of the sport.
I've been watching wrestling for 30 years, and I know when it's good and I know when it's bad. When it's good, I watch, and when it's bad, I don't watch.
I think Frank, I have to start taking from your example and just not watch once in a while, because honestly, it's just most of the time when I'm watching Raw, it's nauseating.
It's painful to watch.
It actually is painful to watch, which is
today you could just read about all the results and everything online in 10 minutes, and if there's something really good happened, you could go back and just watch that segment. Why would you waste 3.5 hours of your time?
You're right. You're 100% right as usual. And the reason and it's because you're right.
It's just logical. I mean, how could you sit there starting at 8:00 to 11:20 and watch commercial after commercial?
They gotta lose that third hour eventually, and Triple H has said it's a Vince McMahon decision. They gotta lose that third hour, because that third hour is killing them.
They said there was a suggestion I read today that maybe they should put the first hour of NXT on Raw.
No. And the reason I say no is because I do not want Vince McMahon to get his grubby hands on that product. Because I'll tell you right now, without Vince McMahon's grubby hands on it, NXT is infinitely the better show. You let Vince McMahon get his grubby hands on there, I guarantee you in a month that show will be in the tank.
Yep.
It goes. Go
watch that ESPN E60 show, and you'll see. It'll open your eyes to a lot of things.
I've heard a lot of good things about it, so I'll make sure I give it a watch. But
he runs the meetings and creative. You have Dusty Rhodes, William Regal, Terry Taylor. There must be about 20 guys in the creative process.
And if you notice, all those names you just named, all those guys you named, what do they all have in common?
They're wrestlers.
Thank you. They're not some out of school writer from Hollywood handing a guy a script. No. They are professional wrestlers. Why? Because this is professional wrestling.
And I'm not saying that guys like Dusty never wrote a bad show. I mean,
everyone has a bad day. Everyone has a bad day, Frank. To say otherwise is illogical. But the fact of the matter is, the Raw I went to in 2013, the script was scrapped by Vince, and he had Dirty Dutch Mantel and Paul Heyman rewrite the show in a matter of 4 hours, and it was one of the greatest Raws I ever seen in my life, and I was proud to be there.
I don't think guys like Paul Heyman would even want to be bothered with that anymore.
I don't think he does, and I don't blame him because the headache really just isn't worth it.
Why would you want to spend the whole week racking your brain up all this or that to go? Nah, I don't like it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Frank and I, as always, are very we're happy that we could do these shows. Hey, listen, it's good for us. We really enjoy it, and we did the show primarily tonight, to talk about the Bryan issue, and I think I can speak for Frank and myself when we both say that we hope the guy feels better, and if unfortunately he's not able to feel better, put him in the Hall of Fame. What do you say, Frank?
Yeah, I think that the second he retires, I think he should go in the Hall of Fame.
Now, why do you say that, Frank?
Because he's deserving of it.
What makes him deserving? It's got to come from you, because if it comes from me, they'll think it's biased.
He's been a great performer over a long, extended period of time, over close to 15 years. He was one of the most popular guys in WWE when he at his peak. And those are the credentials. I mean, what more do you need?
Frank, I couldn't have said it.
The guy will go down in history as one of the most popular guys in WWE. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, when you look back at the 2010s of this decade, he is one of the most popular guys. He's one of the most popular guys of the 21st century.
Frank, you couldn't have said it any better, my friend, and that's exactly how
and he is a good worker. It's not that he's just, it's not just a yes chat, he's a good worker. And his resume speaks for itself over 12, 13 years, however long he's wrestled.
15 to be exact. And Frank, couldn't have said it any better, my friend, and that's how I want to wrap up. You guys have a good week, and to Bryan, Godspeed, my friend.